One woman gets blamed for the deadliest war in Greek myth. 1,000 ships, 10 years of siege, an entire generation of heroes dead in the sand outside one city. And the reason, we are told, is that a Trojan prince ran off with a Spartan queen. But here is what that story leaves out. Kings did not go to war over a broken heart. They went because they had signed a contract. And the person who wrote that contract was not Helen. Let's start at the beginning, because the beginning is the whole trick. Helen was the most beautiful woman in the world, and in the Bronze Age, that was not a compliment. It was a problem, with a body count waiting to happen. When she came of age in Sparta, suitors did not send a few polite letters. Nearly every powerful king and prince in Greece showed up in person. Odysseus was there. Ajax was there. Diomedes was there. Dozens of them, each one arriving with warriors, ships, and an ego. And that is the situation nobody talks about. You have most of the armed power in Greece standing in one courtyard, all wanting the same woman, all of them able to raise an army. Helen's father, Tyndareus, saw the trap immediately. Choose one suitor, and you have just insulted 40 of the deadliest men alive. He was not afraid of losing a wedding. He was afraid of the funeral that would follow it. So here is where the real cause of the war walks in. And it is not a goddess, and it is not a face. It is a clever man solving a different problem. Odysseus, who had already worked out he could not win Helen himself, went to Tyndareus with a deal. Promise me your niece Penelope, and I will tell you how to get out of this alive. The plan was this. Before anyone is chosen, make every single suitor swear a binding oath. Whoever wins Helen, all the rest are sworn to defend that marriage. Forever. If any man ever comes between Helen and her husband, every king in this courtyard is contractually obligated to hunt him down. They killed a horse, cut it into pieces, and made each suitor stand on the bloody parts while they swore. Then Tyndareus safely picked Menelaus, and everyone went home. Here is what they had just done. They had turned a marriage into a mutual defense treaty signed by every military power in Greece. Nobody thought it would ever be triggered. It was insurance. It was the thing you sign and forget. Now the goddesses, because this part usually gets told as the cause, and it is really just the spark. At a wedding, 3 goddesses argue over who is most beautiful, and a Trojan prince named Paris is picked to judge. Aphrodite bribes him. Choose me, she says, and I will give you the most beautiful woman in the world. The problem is, the most beautiful woman in the world is already married to a Spartan king, who is protected by an oath sworn by every warrior in Greece. Paris does not know that, or does not care. He sails to Sparta, Menelaus hosts him like a friend, and Paris leaves with Helen and a good amount of Spartan treasure. And whether she went willingly or was taken, the ancient sources genuinely disagree, is almost beside the point now. Because the moment she crosses into Troy, a contract older than the crime activates. Menelaus does not have to raise an army by begging. He does not have to convince anyone. He just has to remind them. Every king who stood on that dead horse is now legally, sacredly bound to sail. And this is why it became a war instead of a feud. Agamemnon, Menelaus' brother and the most powerful king in Greece, invokes the oath. Odysseus, the man who invented it, tries to dodge it by pretending to be insane. It does not work. The very trap he built to keep the peace drags him to Troy for 10 years. Watch the actual chain of cause. Helen is beautiful, so every king wants her. Every king wants her, so her father is trapped. Her father is trapped, so Odysseus invents the oath. The oath exists, so when Paris takes her, all of Greece is already bound to go. Helen is at the start of that chain. But look at what is actually pulling the ships across the sea. It is not her face. It is a legal document. 1,000 ships did not launch for love. They launched because breaking that oath meant every other king would turn on you next. So did Helen cause the Trojan War? She was the reason it could happen. She was not the reason it had to. A beautiful woman gave the war its excuse. A clever man gave it its mechanism. And an arrogant prince pulled the trigger on a weapon that had been sitting loaded for years. The face launched nothing. The oath launched everything. And 3,000 years later, we still remember the woman's name, and we have almost entirely forgotten the contract. which might be the oldest trick in the story. It is always easier to blame the beautiful one than the clever one. Helen got the blame, Odysseus got away with it, and Troy got 10 years.